Hi everyone, thanks for staying. In the next few minutes I want to try to outline how intertwined our media consumption and entertainment consumption has become and the impact that has on measurement. I want to explain to you why iPads are like popcorn. I want to talk to you about why 1 million people can be wrong and how great data can highlight emergent trends to drive business forward. A few words about GfK. GfK, as you may know, is one of the world's largest market research organizations. We measure each touch point of the customer's journey. We're perhaps best known for our retail sales tracking business across 100 countries, measuring transactional data. We're also the largest audience measurement business in Europe. In my area of media and entertainment, we track the global sales of data of books, games, videos, music. We track digital entertainment transactions by platform, billing and volume, and we track content from box office through rental, DVD, VOD sales and broadcast. And the business we're most interested in is the cross-platform, user-centric and server-centric audience measurement. And I'll be able to give you a couple of highlights from that. So we're tracking share of spend and we're tracking share of eyeballs and share of ears. So let's have a look at the world of today. This is a typical environment. We heard yesterday that the average household has 12 screens for each 4 people or so. The big screen brings the family together. It doesn't mean that everyone is paying attention to the big screen at all times, but multitasking is the norm for many people today. And the fact that there's the interoperability, there's the fact that each device can exchange data with other devices, and each is competing for our time, that a measurement of each and every medium must be considered within the context of the whole. So a couple of examples coming out of a couple of surveys that I hope will be of some interest. This is a single source survey in the US, the Multimedia Mentor that we run. And this is looking at simultaneous time spent watching TV, time online, using PCs, mobile and tablets. And I think that what's really interesting here is the personal devices, the mobiles and tablets, are really the catalyst for change. And it's a profound change, but the impact on time spent should not be overstated. TV still dominates the landscape. Tablet is a tiny fraction of TV time, but what is very interesting to see is that 50% of tablet time is spent simultaneous to television. And that's why iPads are like popcorn, because popcorn enhances the movie experience. And typically, I only really eat popcorn when I'm going to the movies, but it adds to that experience. Similarly, tablets add to the TV experience. It doesn't mean that we're always doing something entirely synced with what's on TV. Sometimes we are, sometimes we're socializing, sometimes we're in a retail environment. And these personal devices bring the retail environment into the living room in an interesting way, and they're calls to action which brands can build on. Now, we looked at what people are doing while they're watching TV. What kind of stuff are they doing in detail? For this, we turn to our media efficiency panel, which is a single source panel we run in Germany, measuring TV metering, mobile metering, and PC metering. And we looked at the behavior, the mobile behavior, while watching TV. And not surprisingly, social media indexes high. Looking for content, looking for the backstory, Wikipedia and the like index high. But the highest indexing activity, mobile activity during TV time, is playing Angry Birds and casual gaming. And in fact, 35% of Angry Birds time is spent in front of the TV. Now, if you go back to that picture of the virtual sofa and the family congregating round the TV, not everyone paying attention necessarily to the big screen. Kids tend to turn to casual games when it's their parents' choice of viewing. Let's think about social. TV's always been a fantastically social media. We saw those great photos from the 1950s, which brings people together around the screen. It's always been a social medium, but now there are great opportunities for social. And we can learn a lot from social media in terms of what people are watching on TV. But I would urge a word of caution. And when we talk about data, we talk about good data, great data. It's important to be representative, boring but important. When we look at the appreciation of content that we measure in 5 European markets, we see that sort of distribution of the bar chart there. When we look at the kind of comments coming out from social media, Facebook, Twitter and the like, we see a polarization of content between bad and particularly good. And therefore it would be mistaken to try to derive the opinion of the audience from simply looking at social media. And this isn't surprising. Conversations about television take place all the time, and the vast majority of those conversations, and those conversations that form our opinions, take place offline. We talk to each other. And this has to be taken into account, that online represents just a small fraction of those opinion-forming conversations that we have. So how can we use data, and how can good data be turned into great data? Where we see some really interesting opportunities now is in divining intention from data. We look at these vast data sets, behavior data, across different platforms, and what we need to understand is what in this data stream is pointing towards future behavior. Bringing data together gives us richer data sets, informing that process better. And then if we're successful, we can optimize performance, whether that's about the optimal business model for a gaming strategy, or whether that is about reducing churn, increasing ARPU for a cable operator. And the final thing that I want to leave you with is the importance of visualization, bringing the data to life, and that turns good data into great data. And Clay Shirky came up with the fantastic concept of the wiki unit. The time it spent to create Wikipedia, 100 million hours went into the creation of Wikipedia, and much more since then, I'm sure. And David McCandless produced a comparative analysis, and I just want to build on that a little bit. So we've got 100 million hours, that's one wiki unit. The time spent playing Angry Birds last year, globally, I'll grant you, was 18 wiki units. Time well spent, I think we'd all argue. 420 wiki units spent on Facebook in the USA alone. But all this is dwarfed by the time spent watching television in the USA last year. So to wrap up, what turns good data into great data? I think what we need to be sure is that the data represents the experience, and therefore when we have a multi-screen experience, we need to have multi-screen measurement associated with it. Remember, not all data are representative. It is a mistake to look just at the most available data sets. And great data analysis should be able to describe accurately what's going on, reveal intentions, and forecast consequences. Thank you very much.
Great presentation. Thank you very much. I want to ask you quickly. Yeah, you're over.
Shame on me.
I know, awful. I want to ask you quickly about what we're really talking about is behavior, right? But what people are doing with these new behaviors. Your social media was very interesting. How do you see the behaviors in Europe differentiating from, or being different from those in Asia and those in North America in terms of the behavior that's happening when people are engaging with content?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, when you look at the amount of time spent with television simultaneous with other media, it's not surprising in the US because the US has a very high volume of TV viewing, and therefore most of life goes on while the television is on.
Was that a dig?
In Europe, the situation is surprisingly similar in terms of what we see in emerging trends in the major markets for the use of social media, for the use of second screens. In Asia, I have to say that's a growing area for us, but it's an area that I know, a region that I know much less about myself. So I'd prefer to stick to Europe, where I feel pretty confident.
From a data perspective, I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
Any questions from the audience? Great. Big round of applause.
Thank you.